Venus, the goddess of love, money, beauty, is moving into a relationship called a conjunction with Saturn, stability, duty, responsibility, and lastingness. And they're coming together in the sky very soon, January 22nd. And it's the last time for 30 years that these two will join together in Aquarius, Saturn's home kingdom. We're going to talk about what this might mean for your love and money stories in the next few minutes, talking for your rising sign most accurate, sun and moon secondarily. They're setting a pattern that's going to be in play in some ways for 30 years. And also how it might impact the world at large, especially when it comes to stock markets and monetary policy and systems of finance. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothian. I'm recording today from my brand new home where I'm living in Vancouver, Canada. I just moved in a few days ago, and I promised all my regular followers I'd show them the house. I will give you a tour of the house at the end if you stick around for it. But for now, I'm sitting in the window seat, and I thought I'd just like get the vibe of my new place with you here on YouTube land. Thank you, all of you regular subscribers. I really appreciate you. My channel is just hitting on Wednesday, January 18th, 17,000 subscribers, and I'm so delighted. If you're new to astrology in general, I'm using the whole sign house system. I'm a tropical Western astrologer, not sidereal, not from India. And I'm also using tools and techniques that are coming from Babylon and ancient Persia. I dabble a little bit with some Vedic astrology tools that do translate well to Western astrology. And I'm also an asteroid junkie. And you'll often find me talking about all these cool asteroids that are playing out in the asteroid belt and how they connect to us down here on Earth. Now let's talk about Venus. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit my bell for notifications, especially if you're brand new. Please give me a try. Alrighty, so basically, Venus, she's like all about the love stories, right? Romance, love, friendship, kindness, beauty, art, pleasure, sexuality, and then Saturn, strict, sober, tough, taskmaster, the dude, I mean, he's like your Zen master with a stick, sage-like wisdom. But on the other hand, he can be just really hard. It makes things hard, makes us work hard. Things are hard with Saturn. And here's what I'd say about things with Saturn. At the end of the day, it's all good because he's teaching us the lessons that we need through stability, permanence, hard work, reality, realism. And when he comes together with the goddess of love, it's about a realistic love. I often think of Saturn and Venus like the arranged marriage, the practical marriage, the marriage based on friendship, the marriage in which the priority is to go for the long haul, the long game, the long tail, the distance, the enduring love. In love stories that are, flighty and fast and furious, that's definitely like a fiery, or let's put it this way, it's a Mars-Venus story. But a Mars-Venus story can maybe be hot and turned on and exciting for love, but it may not go the distance, and often doesn't, by the way. So if you meet somebody new or start a relationship in earnest or commit to a relationship under a Venus-Saturn conjunction, which we're having today, it tends to go the distance. Now, let me say one thing. It's a healthy Saturn. That's not always true. Saturn could be in debility conjunct with Venus, or Venus could be in debility. Debility meaning planets and signs are not comfortable in. So Saturn is not comfortable in Cancer, and Venus is not comfortable in Scorpio, etc. These are places of debility. But both Saturn and Venus are in good shape. Venus in Aquarius is in a neutral dignity, and Saturn in Aquarius is in his home sign. In India, they consider the Capricorn sign of Saturn, his other home sign, his kind of home base, like domestic home, his private home. Whereas when he moves into Aquarius, he's like in his office and he's getting shit done. So keep that in mind as well. Now, technically, Venus, she likes Saturn, so they're not enemies either. And why? Because in her Libra home, and she has two homes, the Taurus home and the Libra home. In her Libra home, she exalts him. So when Saturn goes to her Libra home, she gives him VIP treatment. She makes sure he has a massage. He gets the best bedroom. He has a maid. He gets a butler. He gets a driver, whatever. She treats him really well. And so she kind of tends to favor Saturn. All right. And Saturn doesn't really have anything against Venus in particular. So when she's in Capricorn, his sign, she's Miss Boss Babe. When she's in Aquarius, she's kind of neutral. She likes to do things with a lot of people. She's more group oriented. Now, technically, we're going to talk about your rising sign. You can listen as well for sun and moon. Moon could be about your mom and your safety and security needs and your emotions, whereas the sun could be about your father figures, your career and your purpose. But most accurate will be your rising sign 9 out of 10 times. Unless you have a stellium, like sun and moon in one sign, like I do with Aries, with other planets, you may feel weighted to other than just your rising sign. To get your rising sign, if you don't know it, check out my free description box below, how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, mini 5-minute tutorial. I'll teach you how to do it in whole sign houses because they're the ancient tradition. And that's what we're using here on YouTube. All of us astrologers acting as if we're talking about one whole sign is one whole house. There are 12 houses in your chart, which is 12 areas of your life: money, relationship, career, health, your children. So, the chart isn't all about you. The first house is about you. So before we start, just so you know, that's a bookshelf with an orchid that a friend bought me for moving in. And that's not my books. I have my own bookshelf. I'll show you later. It's a furnished rental and the owner's books are here. And she's got all this Zen Confucius stuff, and I love her shit, so I'm reading her books too. I'm in this furnished rental until at least mid-July. The universe is looking after me. And wait till you see the view. I'll share the view with you guys at the end of the video that looks out at the mountains and the water from my window seat here. All right, so one of the things I want to caution us about before we get to the all signs, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get a lapel mic, a high quality one, but I'm not at a desk, so I'm in a window seat. I'm trying to make sure that I have the mic at least a level that you can hear me. And it's funny because Cam White, who ditched his holding on to his Yeti mic, and then got a lapel mic. I just saw him on his channel. He's back to holding a handheld mic. It looks like a Shure. So obviously he likes the feeling of being the MC, right? It makes me laugh. I think he might be doing music. I like Cam White a lot. I want to get him on my channel. I'm going to try again. I emailed him. I don't think he got it. It must have gone to spam. Alrighty. Let's start off by talking about stock markets crashing down or bad economic things happening. Saturn is restraint and constriction, not for punishment, but for making things stable in the long run. And Venus is money and currencies and pleasures and spending as well. Well, not spending, Mercury can spend, but she has to do with markets in general. So does Mercury. But there's a history of when Venus and Saturn have come together that stock markets have gone down. I did the research. I wanted to know, is it true? Does it happen? And so I did some research, and 1933, 34, and 35, Venus was in a conjunction 3 times. Okay, just so you know, just back it up. When Venus is coming into this conjunction with Saturn in 2023 on January 22nd, it's not the first time she's done it. She also did it in February of 21. She did it in March of 22, and now January of 23. All right, just so you know. For example, in March of 2022, the Russian stock exchange, the MOEX, collapsed by 43%. Alrighty, and that was like a real downward draft at the start of the Ukraine war, and the market went kaboom. And at the same time, in 2022, you saw the downward trend in the S&P and Bitcoin from their all-time highs. And according to my research, that Venus and Saturn corresponded with a 25% drop in the S&P, Standard & Poor's index, and Bitcoin going down 59%, but also 72% from its all-time high during that window of March of 22. It all started between January and June of 22, the S&P and the Bitcoin collapse. Now, so we're talking about January 22nd, where this could mean a downturn, a further downturn in the stock markets in general, or equity markets, or economic news, or something like that. Now, if I go back in time, not to worry everybody, but I need to be here honest, 1933, 34, and 35, Saturn, Venus, Saturn, Venus, Saturn, Venus in Aquarius, right? Well, it was after the great crash of 1929, but there was increasing monetary distress at the time, and it was the earnest beginning of the Great Depression. So yeah, don't feel too anxious there, right? Nothing like a Great Depression redo. We don't want that. And also, I'm looking at my notes. We also have 1960s. So 1962, 63, and 64. Venus and Saturn in Aquarius, 3 times they met. Now, in December of 61 to June of 62, there was a massive stock market decline that corresponded with this time frame of the Venus-Saturn conjunctions. And it was a massive stock called the flash crash of 62. And sometimes it was also associated with a term of President Kennedy's presidency, and it was called the Kennedy something or other, but mostly known as a flash crash of 62. So by June of 62, 22% of the Standard & Poor's index had collapsed, which doesn't sound like that much, but the stock market had been steadily climbing since World War II. And this was the first shock and awe feeling of a downdraft. And then we're going through time, remember, 33, 34, 35, 62, 63, 64. And now we're moving into 1992. So the last time this happened was in February of 92 and December of 1992. That was again Venus and Saturn and Aquarius joining together. And there was Black Wednesday. I don't know if you guys know what Black Wednesday was. It was in September of 1992. And it had to do with a massive correction in finances in the stock markets of England and UK. So I'm just going to say, don't be surprised if between January 22nd, if not before, and up to 2 or 3 or 4 months later, we're seeing some major stock market correction. Saturn will bring stability. He's trying to lay a solid new foundation. Well, you can say that quantitative easing was the opposite of that, throwing a bunch of money into the markets to make sure nothing went down, caused what we are now having, which is inflation. So inflation is a correction measure as well. And so rising interest rates is a correction measure as well. And Saturn is a correction measure, a taskmaster, a stern disciplinarian. And I remember I was that guy that said irrational exuberance had hit the markets in I think it was the 90s, was his name Greenspan? I think he was the head of the Federal Reserve. And I'd say that any irrational exuberance around cryptos or stock markets going up, 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 despite a pandemic, despite economic distress, despite all stores and shop and business owners closing up, it was the rich making money, right? Money was cheap to borrow. It wasn't the little guy, but little guys tried to jump in on the bandwagon. And because money was so cheap, because interest rates were so low, and because quantitative easing meant the government was printing money, flooding the environment with spare money, printing out of nowhere, it led to the 1% of the wealthy dudes who have all the money getting even wealthier. Well, the little guy didn't benefit from that at all. Stimulus checks, give me a break. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Give me $600 a year extra because I got laid off from my job. How's that going to help? It's not going to help. In Canada, we do stupid things like that. Trudeau just put out another one where everybody gets $200 check or some shit like that, or renters get an extra $500 a year. When your rent is $3,000 a month, do you think that 3,000, which is Vancouver, $3,500 a year is going to really help? I mean, are you serious? Like, are you serious? And we're just spending money the government didn't have in Canada to spend, in my humble opinion. Alrighty, so moving onward. I want to talk next about you. So, this is the intro. I talk about other people. I talk about politics. Venus, Saturn, the book, The Archetypal Universe, by one of my teachers, Ren Butler, Archetypal Astrology, something I've learned because it's just adding more tools to my toolkit. Talks about Venus, Saturn being satisfactory relationships, quality time, feelings of responsibility and commitment in one's relationship life, solid working partnerships, and beauty and integrity blended together. The shadow side of this, relationship tests or coolings of affection, getting cold and the love feels cold or distant, social burdens and responsibilities, feelings of loneliness and fear of reaching out, because Venus likes to socialize and Saturn's like, we're staying home alone, and doubts about one's attractiveness. Venus is beauty, Saturn is aging or old. So those are just some stuff that he would say about what happens when Venus and Saturn combine. And last but not least, who has a Venus, Saturn? No, sorry, that's not what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about Eros and Apollo. So when Venus and Saturn come together in the sky, they're activating the asteroids Eros and Apollo. And I'm going to show you that sky now so you can see what I mean. And then I'm going to tell you about some people who have it. Because when Venus and Saturn come together, activating Apollo and Eros is going to play out in your life. It's going to make a difference about how this story, the devil is in the asteroid details, will show up for you. Okay. So I'm going to show you the picture of the sky, and we're going to go into all signs. Okay, guys, I'm really hoping that this mic isn't in super variable, like loud and not loud, because I have to hold it. And I'm getting that lapel mic ordered today. And when it gets here with Amazon, I will no longer be figuring out what to do with this darn Yeti mic that I've had for 1,000 years. Okay. Although sometimes I like it. I feel like a broadcaster. Alrighty. So here's a picture of the sky just for temporarily showing it to you. We won't be keeping it up forever, but I want you to see what I'm talking about. You can see that up here you have Venus with Saturn. They're co-joining on the 22nd around 24 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. And then you can also see that over here is Eros. Obviously it looks like a heart with a circle through it. That is the god of passion. It actually is the son of Venus. Now that sounds kind of cool because Venus is talking to her son, but he was the one who shoots Cupid's arrow. Yet next to him at 24 degrees is the forge smith of the gods, Hephaestus. And Hephaestus is a guy who was the husband of Venus. So it's her husband and her son. The whole fam is here, and they're in a flowing aspect to her and Saturn. Now, Hephaestus wasn't just the dutiful, long-standing, long-suffering husband of Venus who was always having sex with Mars. And by the way, Mars right now is sitting in forward motion in around 8 degrees of Gemini. They can see each other, but they're not as spectral. He was also like forging things like a blacksmith, magical things, the thunderbolts of Zeus and the magic girdle of Venus. So what love, Hephaestus, do we wish to forge? Okay, forging love, forging love. Cupido is falling madly in love, but Forgesmith is forging love, and we don't forge falling in love. So it's both a combination of making something happen through effort to forge love, but also to fall in love or allow love to sparkle with that feeling of Cupid's arrow and that passion and excitement that goes when we are feeling in love. It doesn't have to be with a person. We could fall in love with our job, our career, an animal, a person. You know, we have a capacity as humans to fall in love with many things. And then Venus, of course, and Saturn are in a chat over here called a sextile, very flowing energy. So we're going to find enduring and lasting and stable love and money stories with forging enduring passion regarding those themes. And finally, over here is Apollo. This just simply means leader. Do you see how it's 24, 24, 24? We call this partile. And if you go like this, it makes a triangle called a mini grand trine, which is a very easy, flowing, blessed, and karmically yay energy. There's my bad triangle on my cursor because my mouse isn't with me. Okay, and therefore we have two sextiles and a trine all joined together. In other words, it's very positive. Now, it doesn't mean we won't have a downdraft in the stock markets. I can't tell you that's not going to happen, because even a downdraft is resetting the odometer for humanity, and it can be a good thing. So let's not, worry about that. Let's talk about your personal story. You are not a stock market. In this thing, Apollo is the energy of prophecy, culture, and the arts. He's the god of healing. He's a son of Jupiter, FYI, and the sister of Diana, the huntress. But he's also connected to the simple thing. He's a sun god, leadership. And he was worshipped for his leadership abilities as well as his healing and prophecy abilities. Now, I'm going to look at the leader part of him for a minute and say, because you see Venus is trining, is flowing towards Apollo, what ways can women turn out to be enduring, responsible, authoritative leaders during the time of this conjunction and in the months after? And what ways can leadership be connected to passion and endurance and forging something of importance? This is a question mark for individuals and for the world at large. For example, in the United States chart, US is a rising Sag, and Forgesmith passion energy is being joined together in the identity of the United States of America with a flowing sextile energy to the US's third house of news and information that they put out to the public, the press conferences, the information they dispense to the audience or the public. Of course, the US does have a female press person who stands at the podium right now, the press lady, whatever her name is, and that could literally be some positive announcements around the 22nd coming through the press, to the press, from the government to the people, just for example. And this is the 11th house of the United States public reputation, where there's some leadership story. For example, it could literally be just a news story breaking about a woman going into office who's going to lead, or some good news about a woman leader in office or something like that. Who knows? Now, let's talk about as well, people who have a strong Apollo are like Putin. Vladimir Putin has Apollo on his midheaven. Okay, Martin Luther King had Apollo on his moon in the 11th house of fame. And of course, the moon in his house of fame and celebrity or influence, the 11th, with Apollo, he was a popular with the people leader who was famous and had great influence. In fact, Martin Luther's 11th house, that's the house of movements, making a movement happen. Mike Tyson, the fighter, has Apollo on his midheaven. No kidding, right? He's famous, and he was, in his own way, a sun god for the whole darn thing called boxing. There's so many examples. Oprah Winfrey has Apollo. Don't forget shiny, bright leader energy in her third house, which is magazines and periodicals. And things to do with news, like she had a talk show, and it's for Oprah, Apollo on her lot of fortune in her third house. I'm just giving you examples so you know Apollo works. Donald Trump has Apollo in his 10th house of reputation on his midheaven, conjunct, no, sorry. Trump has Eros, the god of passion and falling in love, on his career house with his midheaven, meaning he falls in love with his own reputation. He has Apollo on his Mars conjunct his ascendant, where he is also has the fixed star little king, born to rule, fame, power, and glory, with Apollo, the sun god, the leader, on his identity, his ascendant, with Mars, fighting and contentious and winning versus losing. So I just giving you some examples how you might want to go check Apollo out in your natal sky. If you don't know how to do that, check my asteroid course, The Amazing Asteroids. It's not expensive. You can buy it on my website. It teaches you how to use asteroids in your chart. They will blow you away. And then you'll find out where you can be a leader based on where Apollo sits in one of your 12 houses and where you can shine brightly like a sun god. Okay, so we're going to move away from the picture here, and I'm going to annotate, I guess. It doesn't really matter if I do or don't. Annotate, unannotate. All right, so we're going to do all signs. I got my water, I got my tea, I got my mic propped on my knees on my window seat. If you don't make it to the end, I'll show you my place now. Some of you will be like, you do your sign, you're going to stick around. I'll give you a little quickie tour without unplugging my mic. Hang on a sec. My mic cord is really long. I don't want to pull the mic out. Okay, so this is my place. Some of the stuff is mine. That golden silk on the footstool is mine. It used to be a wedding sari from India. I used it as a bedspread for years, and that as a tapestry from South Africa, a batik that I bought that's behind the armchair, and that's my books piled up on a little crate that I brought with me. And that's my sweet little nest. And then there's this really lovely bar area. The books in that bookshelf in the back are all my astrology books, guys. It's ridiculous. I have them in my car and I move them around with where I go. A really comfy sofa, my pillows, etc. Moving you around. Fireplace that burns wood burning fireplace. And hang on. Vancouver, Canada. Oh, I could record this way too, actually. Next time I'll try that. I could always put a table in front of me, although I kind of lose focus here, yeah? There's a construction next door. Oh, you can't really see because the camera is focusing on me, but there's water and mountains over there. Some lovely guy who watches my channel gave me some suggestions about getting the camera to focus on me instead of the mic. Sometimes my mic is here and then the auto adjust to focus on the microphone, and I'm a blurry person, so I'm trying new things. Hopefully I'm less blurry today, and I will be getting a lapel mic and I won't be holding a mic in my knees. Okay, let's get going and do all signs and talk about how is your new passion. And you have to forge the passion, so it doesn't come necessarily without some work, but it can be magical. And where can you shine a leaderful light as Venus gives you enduring love and money stories, as well as love and beauty and art stories in the time ahead. Certainly for artists, this can mean you're going to create your legacy writing, your project, your piece of art that goes the distance. It can be super yummy for creative type folks to see Venus and Saturn together here. Don't forget, you won't get it again for 30 years, so you want to grab it while it's hot. This is the last pass, right? February and January of 21, 22, and this is our last one. All right, so let me just get the chart in my back end. So I'm looking at it. That's how I do it. I'm looking at you in the camera, but I'm looking at the chart in the background so I don't forget to say anything. All right, so I'm recording on January 18th because this goes to my Patreon community who gets up to 48 hours to up to 5 or 6 days, sometimes a month early. And this is meaning that they get to watch it without any ads, and they're also able to comment in my Patreon privately, and I always respond there as well as here on YouTube. But if for $5 a month, getting together with me twice a month in live group meetings and or getting this content ad-free it intrigues you, plus access to my courses for discounts, then join up. $5 is the lowest tier you can sign up for. Why not come in? All right, check my description box for how to join my Patreon community. I now have 50 subscribers. I'm so delighted. All right, so moving into Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign people. In your sky, Venus and Saturn are doing their last joining in your 11th house of good spirit. This is an enchanted house of goodness, karmic rewards for all of your karmic merit and good karma, the good deeds you've done. And it means pennies from heaven and windfalls, as well as the up-leveling of your dreams and hopes and wishes for your life. Because I have my sun and moon in Aries, as well as other planets, I can really relate to this with you. I have just gone through a period as this is approaching actual day of the event, January 22nd, of visualizing my long-term range goals and dreams and plans at a whole other level that I'd never ever entertained or considered before, because I want to bring lasting, enduring value to the world, Saturn, and I want to bring something of joy and beauty and goodness into the world, Venus. How can I do that that influences the public or the people that I wish to reach out to in groups, 11th house classes I wish to teach, for example, or ways in which I wish to influence the masses, maybe. And so how are you doing, Aries? How are you seeing this new vision that you want to up level? And have you noticed that it's been ongoing since 2021 and 22, as each February, January, this time of year, Venus and Saturn keep coming back together here to ask you, is your dream and your vision legacy, will it go the distance? Is it something that can endure beyond your lifetime? Is it something that you wish to create great gains from your career financially, but in a sustainable and enduring way, in a practical and realistic way as well? And if you're looking for love, you're looking for a friendship. And if you're in a love relationship, it will move that relationship towards friendship. And if you're looking for a new relationship, which some of you may be, and it starts during this time, you're leaning into a love relationship that will be lasting, but 11th house, a friendship. So some of you know that I was in a romance a while ago, and it's reinvigorated since Mars went direct in my house of romance, and it's somebody I would consider a friend. This is not the pitter patter, that you get, you know what I mean, when you're 20 years old or a teenager. This is based on a solid foundation, because I've known him for 40 years. All right. So for example, and so lasting love from friendships, friend zone friends becoming your number one, finding that you want to leave a mark in the world with the work you do, but also have significant financial enduring gains that will go the distance. And I'll take off that bracelet that's rattling. And lastly, you have the asteroids talking to you here. If you're going to have passion and you're going to forge something of value in love and career gains, is coming because you are being told to pay attention to your dharma and your spiritual truth and God and knowledge and wisdom that goes with the 9th house. You can't avoid that. That's where Eros is with the Forge Smith. You're on a short leash here, but it's a good place to have a leash. If you want to write a book, you can do it with this aspect. This is the kickoff for some of us like me to think about creating a book or teaching a legacy course that involves mentorship over a period of time. I will be starting a 9-month program with limited access for a small number of people to go a 9-month distance with me. This is classic 9th house stuff. Venus and Saturn are putting it into motion. If you have any kind of ways to lead and be a shiny, bright sun goddess and God in your life, Apollo's telling you to focus on your marriage house, your business partnership house, and more importantly, your clients, audience, and outreach to the marketplace from your 10th. So a lot of us Aries are going to be very outward focused toward leader, but acting like a leader in our marketplace. Finally, you can also find leaders drawn to you. This is a time where Saturn, Venus may bring for some Aries people, leaderful people into their life, or a marriage partner who's like a sun god or goddess, whatever that is to you. Now, as you can tell, this whole setup is like making me antsy because I can't get comfy. Now I'm going to move me around a bit. So because I'm just experimenting here today, I wanted to show you my place. And I didn't put the Aries backdrop behind me that I was going to do. Well, so too bad, not today. What's a good, comfortable spot? Maybe I'm going to move you around my house. Let's move. Let's move today. Next time we'll go back to putting, it's not going to be that long a video, but when I put the backdrop behind me with a glyph of Aries and stuff, it's often when I have those 2-hour videos that people go, wow, that was long. And somebody criticized my 2-hour video and asked me to shorten it. And I said, are you kidding? My Mars direct video is 2 hours long. One of my most popular videos. Okay. Don't tell me to take my most popular video and shorten the darn thing. Oh my God. Let's try this. I'll just sit on the sofa now. Okay. You guys are tilted. This is like my intimate come to my home spot. That's my, I sit in that every morning at 6 a.m. I'm up at 6 a.m. and I just chill and I look out at the dark lights, the sky, and watch the sun come up. And this is my spot over there, my morning armchair with coffee and quietude and candles lit in my house. I'm big on candles. So this is not too bad. I can prop this mic between the pillows. That could even work. I can get my hands free. Hands free. Look, mono hands. Okay. I will get this all set up with a lapel mic, guys, and then things will get so much easier. All righty. Let's talk about the next sign. Nancy, are you ready? My time-stamping sister. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. If you're listening to my live premiere and I have yet to tell you guys to hit the darn like button, please hit the darn like button. Thank you. All right. So, and just FYI, back to Aries. Sorry, Nancy, stop time-stamping. Aries, any sign. If your Aries sun and moon or rising is near 24 degrees, obviously you're going to feel this very intensely. Okay. So I have my sun at 19 degrees. 19 degrees, 14 degrees. So it's kind of far off. I have asteroid Athena at 19 degrees and asteroid Atlantis at 21. So my Athena Atlantis feel this one very strongly. Athena, the knowledge and wisdom goddess, in my third house with my Aries stellium. Back to you. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Now, in your story, Taurus, okay, we look at the Aquarian 10th house here and say, wow, this is really about your purpose and your career and your visible reputation. Now, some people say to me, I don't have a career. I'm, a homemaker, or I'm retired, and then they get like, upset. No, your 10th house is just what you're doing that everyone sees you do in the world. For most of us, after the age of about 17 or 16, it's our work, or whatever. But students in university, guess what? You're being seen as a student. That's your visible reputation. So we're talking about that specifically. Your visible reputation and actions in the world, praxis actions, are the 10th house. It's 10th from your first, right? 10th house, and it's your most visible place. It's the high noon place of the sky. Anyway, you're having career shit going on here. So bottom line is you are looking at a time where Venus is saying you need to be realistic about your career objectives and purpose, but we want to bring lasting value financially here, all right? And you want to be in a place where you are actually enjoying your career and your purpose or your actions in the world in a stable and lasting way. Saturn, Venus up here. Although at certain times you may feel like your career, since Saturn has been in your 10th house now since 2020 March and is leaving in March of 2023, March 7th, like your reputation and your career has been burdensome and hard and difficult. But every year, 21 and 22, Venus comes back and says, but let's work it out here. So Venus may say to you with Saturn, especially for you, Taurus rising, sun and moon secondarily, that a lot of what she wants you to do is to work in ways that are more enjoyable and that the pace is more balanced. She rules your 6th house of work and health routines. And so finding the balance in the pace and the rhythm and the way you do the work you do, whatever that is, whether you're a student, a homemaker, or you're a business person, or you work for somebody, is the narrative for you. Okay. So don't think of it as a one thing. It's more like the rhythm of the work, the daily, on the daily. How do you do the thing you do? That's what she wants you to find a realistic, enduring, excitingly good, long-lasting structure for. And finally, the mic is moving. Oh, I apologize. And then finally, you have Eros, passion, but you're forging it in the 8th house of chunky money. So how can you leverage bank loans and mortgages, and how can you leverage inheritances, and how can you leverage tax money or investments, I say mortgages, to help you refine Saturn, Venus, an enduring success in the career and purpose part of your sky. Sometimes if you've been off purpose and you don't like what you're doing, and Saturn's finishing here anyway with Venus, you're going to start something new. That could happen. But a lot of you are refining what has become a level of mastery and authority in some area of endeavor you've been working on for a long time, either 14 years ago or 30 years ago or 7 years ago. These are the cycles of Saturn. Then next, you're coming to the energy of leadership or sun god, goddess energy in your story that wants to participate from that 6th house of the daily work and the health and work routines. But this is also the house of debt, having a debt, borrowing money, or having money that you have to pay back to someone. And so sun god here is going to give you power to leverage the ability to pay off those debts in the 8th house. So this is a good story for you that's starting now and will influence you as time progresses. Chronos, Saturn. Certainly, I'd say the juice of this is probably until March 7th when Saturn leaves your 10th house, where this Venus-Saturn story is most auspiciously playing out for you in your career zone, money zone, and daily work and health routine routines zone of the sky. This is not a long video. This is going to give you the gist of it. I want you to think of the deeper questions in each of your signs about what has Saturn taught you as a taskmaster of discipline, hard work, perseverance, and wisdom, sage-like wisdom in the house of purpose and career over the last 3 years. Because when he leaves on March the 7th, he's not back. Okay, and this is his last touchdown with Venus. You can go watch my Venus, Saturn and Pisces if you want to know what's next with Saturn for you. All right, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So Gemini, the energy here for you is going to be a trining flow of goodness where Venus and Saturn have come together yet again. They were here, as I said in the intro, in 2021, February and January of 22, and here they are in 23. You won't get them here in 30 years in your ninth house of God, ninth house of traditional religion, ninth house of foreign shores, and in the word international, book publishing and academia and higher education, as well as all purpose spiritual philosophy, knowledge and wisdom, third marriages, and father figures. If there's not enough meanings there for you, I can come up with more. Look, this is where you need to find something lasting, stable, enduring, financially, and regarding the theme of love. For some of you, if you're single, it could bring you into a love story between now and, let's say, the beginning of March with someone from a foreign land. It's exceedingly auspicious for successful outcomes with enduring results in legal and court cases. The judges up here. This is a really good time for you to travel to a foreign land, especially if it feels like it's a place you might want to settle, or you might want to put down some enduring roots. I just saw 3 birds flying in the window. Do you want to migrate, some of you Geminis, to another country? The sun is up here in its joy at the time of this conjunction, and you could find great joy by just traveling to another country, but even contemplating a move. If you are looking for love, you could meet a foreigner on a trip or fall into an enduring love story with lasting value with someone who feels like a friend from a foreign shore or foreign culture or foreign land. Now we've got Cupido, passion, Cupid's arrow in the 7th house of committed love stories with Forge Smith of the gods Hephaestus. What love do you want to forge that's committed, but also has a spark of Cupid's arrow and a spark of passion? It's definitely for a lot of Geminis about that. If you're already married, you can renew the passion by taking a foreign trip between now, let's say, and middle of March, or planning the trip at the very least. And it's really good for legal outcomes for any Geminis who have been embroiled in any legal issues. There's good outcomes with the 7th house, 9th house sextile. And then we have the sun god energy, Apollo, goddess, sun god, he's a male, in your 5th house of children and also romance. There's a lot of this for Geminis. It's very much about the romance, but it could even be, one of your children is shining brightly and succeeding in a leaderful way in their life. And this is reflecting your enjoyment for their academic success in the 9th house. Some of you might be looking at that children being the one who are having academia and success. And my son has progressed into Gemini, and my daughter's killing it, I think, making wise choices in university. So, for example, and I think that if you have creativity or your own business as a Gemini, rising especially, this will amplify that, your creative spark, your independent business enterprise. For any Gemini energy people here, rising most particularly, it looks like a deep up level of your success as an entrepreneur or as a force of creativity as you generate new creative projects in your life. And it is a fertility house for those of you who may be wanting to have children. This could look like some fertility signatures or announcements of a birth of a grandchild for those of you who have adult children. Anything else I would say? And certainly it's all flowing in a beautiful, what's called an air trine to your Gemini ascendant. You may be gifted with great ideas for new books, creative projects, business ideas, etc., as well as the birth of grandchildren. And if your rising sign Gemini or sun and moon is near 24 degrees, give or take a few degrees on either side, it's more importantly impacting you in that regard that I just said, children, grandchildren, flow, etc. Great ideas. There's some money luck here. Lakshmi houses 9 and 5 are being activated for some wealth and prosperity. Look for opportunities for wealth and prosperity and some lucky breaks coming in the money story even windfalls like lottery tickets. I don't know. Sun god Apollo, prophecy, healing, and leadership in the house of lottery tickets. So I'll let you know, because I have a progressed sun in Gemini, if there's any chance that I'm going to win some money. Okay. That would be so much fun. All right. So my bracelets are making me nuts because there's a dangle and I keep being distracted by my bracelet. And that's it. Okay. We're going to keep going and keep with me here. We're moving on at a nice clip. Cancer, sun, moon, but most accurately rising. And this is going to happen where Venus will meet with Saturn again. Did it in 21 and 22, like February, January, and here's the last time in 30 years. This is about stabilizing your wealth. This is about creating enduring and lasting structures for your wealth, your investments, your 401k, real estate, prosperity, land, legacy wealth, inheritance monies. You're trying to generate a sense of stability and in value and lasting value. Nothing radical, nothing risky. This is like if you want to invest, you're investing in blue chip or gold or something that goes the distance that's very safe. Now, in terms of your inheritance monies, unfortunately, Saturn Venus could look like the death of a feminine person, a woman, and some legacy money that can come through this rare once every 30-year transit. The same would have applied, of course, to February and January of 21 and 22. Now, with the energy here in your 8th house, if you are somebody for whom the occult mysteries matter, like studying astrology, tarot, or crystal ball gazing, or anything like that, this could have you study with a female master or learn from a female teacher who's quite the expert authority in one of those areas. Especially with the sun here, like your purpose could be aligned with the learning from or the attempt to learn from an occult master, usually a female with Venus. And not always so. Venus can also just be the feminine archetype. And you've got passion in your house of work with forging something lasting. So you got a passionate energy for something you're doing in career or work or job, and you're trying to forge here, according to this chart, some lasting financial value. Oh, I hope my mic didn't go down. I just looked at the knob. It looks like I'm adjusting volume control. And I would say to you that technically you could be looking at the work you're doing in the world really being able to sustain you financially, or the job that you're in, or the career path that you're looking for, especially with Mars going direct right now and sextiling your house of reputation and career. And lastly, Venus herself, right? I mean, she does bring good things, and she rules your great gains, your 11th house from your career, of your great gains from your career and reputation. So we're looking at some financial goodness through the work and career path. Where you're being a leader from, or where the leaderful energy is coming from, is in your 4th house. Your 4th house is your home and your private life. So lead from home. This is looking very much like that. Or you find that when you're in your downtime privately, and this is also a Libra house for you that Venus rules, you're coming up with great ideas, and you're almost prophetic about which ideas will succeed, because Apollo, the prophecy god, is activating the wealth and work parts of your chart. But also you can lead by things that you come up with as ideas from your 4th house of home. And some of you for whom I'm speaking, you may work from home, at home as well. All right, I'm going to grab my tea and do the Leo. So I'm drinking my tea because I'm a tea junkie ever since I've been like dry Jan and other stuff. And this is called Cup of Calm, and it's lavender chamomile, and I don't know the brand anymore, but what is the brand? It's called Traditional Medicinals. All right. So moving into the next one, which is past the Leos and into the Leos out of the Cancer. So Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign people. This is right across the way from you. So certainly it's angular where Venus and Saturn are in the house of marriage. If there's any chance that you have a Leo, sun, moon, or rising sign anywhere in the 24th degree, give or take 3 degrees on either side, you're really feeling intensity around this, but it could be about your partner in love or business. It may not be about you. Maybe they've been going through a cycle of trying to figure out what is important to them, enduring, stable, lasting love, value, and money stories in their life. And you're looking across the way as this comes back again after doing this in February 21, or January, February 21, January, February 22, and here we are again. And so if it's about you, fine, but it may not be. But if you have an audience, client, or marketplace that's 10th from your 10th house, your 7th, that you reach out to with your services or products, then this is about the question mark that Venus, Saturn are asking you. What is there that you're bringing to the market, to your audience, that's significantly lasting and enduring in value, that they're going to enjoy, that you feel is going to give them something solid and reliable that they can rely on, basically. And so you may be retooling your products, your offerings to your clients' marketplace and audience, that kind of thing. Now, I can't believe I'm wasting Venus in Aquarius. I haven't got my hair cut or dyed or anything in like 4 years. So I'm just thinking about that as I look at how frizzy I am. But this is what happens when you're my age. You don't care. You just don't give a flying fuck about your hair anymore, or your nails and shit like that. Anyway, excuse my language. So moving on, because I'm 60, right? Like I kind of don't care. Anyway, you guys, Leos, you know what? If you've been in a relationship that's been hard, Saturn has been in your house of relationship, making primary love and marriage type relationships, committed ones, feel difficult. The good news is Venus is going to have the final say. Saturn has been really there since like, I think it was March of 2020. He gently edged in there. And now he's leaving on March 7th of 2023. Won't be back for 30 years. And all said and done, you are like, oh my God, this relationship's been hard. Whatever that is, most likely love, sometimes business partnerships, or your clients are a burden to you, or your audience feels like a burden. And now you're going to find what Venus wants you to do, because she's kind of like, if the love isn't going to last, we're going to lose the love. You know, that's why she tanks the stock markets. If they're fucked up and because they're overly extended, she's like, we're going to lose it. We're going to quit it. We're going to go back to rock bottom to build a solid foundation. So for some of you, Leo risings, difficult long-term relationships can end with this Venus Saturn. And yet, if it does, it's meant to be, obviously. And if it can go on, if she can make it last, it's going to be from the eye or the lens of being realistic about what this relationship can or cannot give you, and be willing to stick with the relationship through the sober-minded lens of Saturn, sober-minded love. Now, you've got Hephaestus and Eros in the house of romance. If you're single with Venus Saturn, you could fall in love with an older person or someone who's responsible, authoritative, or that feels like a friend, but you've got passion and you could fall in love. And this could happen by March the 7th, I think, when Saturn leaves it's the expiry date on the story. But you will forge that spark of Cupid's arrow of falling in love. You'll be willing to forge it like a god of the blacksmith, forging the erotic and the excitement and the in love into a long lasting, enduring love. So if you meet someone under this transit, it starts to stick by March 7th, Leo risings, especially, this is going to feel like this could be your person, and you will want to like make this go the distance and even marry them. And it's arranged marriage. I kind of jokingly call that Saturn in the beginning. Saturn and Venus here are like the arranged marriage, you know, the traditional marriage, the betrothment that's practical, the dowry, you know, the olden day style vibe. Oops. And so you may be feeling that already in an existing relationship, like you're betrothed and it was like someone else chose it, or it's a practical marriage. But if you start dating with someone, even though there's Eros and Fortune in the 5th house, you may see it through the lens of more practical association. Okay. And then at the bottom of the chart in your 3rd house, you have the leadership quality. This is trips and travel and siblings and aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, and skills-based learning. So if it was about a business thing, what do you want to teach or learn? You could teach people practical things in your independent business enterprise. Why independent business enterprise? Because that's where Eros is with the Forge Smith. The 5th house is your entrepreneurial house. For some of you, this whole story is about creating some lasting value for your customers or clients through your independent business enterprise, through something you're teaching or writing. But if it's about romance, for example, then it's like, do you need to take a romantic getaway trip, a leisure trip with the one you're with, and stimulate a little excitement so that this hardship of this relationship can feel less hard? Or are one of your children having some exciting developments in their life, like romance and all of that, and you're watching from the sidelines, quite happy for them? That could also happen. Also, you could fall in love with a childhood friend. All right, if you're single, this could lead you to fall in love with a childhood friend and go the distance with a practical relationship based on history. You've known each other forever. It feels good. Let's go for it. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. I got to go shopping. It's not raining and I need stuff, and I don't like shopping in the rain. I like to walk everywhere. So we're going to get through this today at a decent pace. So Virgo people, this is a Venus-Saturn conjunction in your sixth house of health. So first of all, if you're a Virgo rising, a lot of you felt working hard energies for 3 years, ending in March of 2023. So you may have felt like holy grind. My daughter is Virgo rising, grinding in her student life, or if you are also working in a gym at the same time, or my other friend, my best friend who's Virgo rising, finding that work feels like a burden and she wants to retire, okay, in her career. So at the same time, Saturn could have made your health difficult. And it's considered to be a transit of karmic health challenges when Saturn goes through your sixth house. They're not your fault. But as Saturn leaves here in March, expect a relief in your health challenges, Virgo rising most accurately, sun and moon secondarily. Now, Venus in this part of the chart is about karmic love stories. And January of 22, February of 21, whatever, that vibe. You've been going through the karmic love story, 21, 22, 23. Karmic love stories can have shelf lives. So anyone you've dated, anyone you've been with, it's been karmic. Is it going to last or not? This last Venus-Saturn will tell you, because then Saturn goes into your seventh house of commitment where you get married or move in, and he'll tell you whether or not that's going to happen. He wants to bring committed, lasting love to your love stories. And this is be where that is clear. And Saturn going through your seventh house can end a relationship that's not meant for you. But if there's one that's supposed to stick, this is where you get serious. You grow it up, you have kids, you get married, that kind of thing. So Saturn and Venus in this karmic relationship dating house even are finishing up a longer story that's been going on since 2020 in January. Now, it's definitely good for your health if your health has been beleaguered by physically not feeling like you look good, like my daughter's had adult acne. I think it'll clear. I think Venus is going to help clear the problem for things that make you feel not beautiful or not attractive. The passion of Eros and the forgesmith of the gods in the fourth house is, what do you want to forge from the house of the ancestors, the house of your mother, the house of your home, the house of real estate, the house of your private life? For some of you, this is like changing your lease, moving to a new place, renting a new property, or even purchasing a property could happen. Or the idea of wanting to buy a property for some Virgos could happen here. Or you want to find love in a common home. So if you've been dating someone, this could definitely call you to move in together or buy a property together and share a shared home together and forge the love from the home and the homestead and the private life. The leader energy of Apollo, the sun god, is in your second house of money that you earn and also foods that you eat. But let's go with the money that you earn. Foods that you eat can improve your health. End of story. Because sun god Apollo is telling you to use your prophetic mind as well to intuit what food you shouldn't be eating to have better health. But on top of that, this is up-leveling financially your earnings as a Virgo rising, sun and moon secondarily. And you may earn more money from home. You may draw on the ancestral power of your fourth house to earn more money. You may follow in your mother's footsteps. My daughter may become a psychic tarot reader for all I know. Or you may find that the sun god, trining Venus and trining Saturn in your sixth house simply means you get a raise at work or a new level of power in your work or job situation. So look forward to that if you are the Virgo people of the world. And we're going to move into the next sign, which is Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Let me sip my tea. I promise I won't eat a tangerine. If you're in the live premiere and you haven't hit my like button yet, why not? Simply by pushing a button, you really help the channel grow. It tells YouTube to share my video after we finish the live premiere and we stop chatting and gossiping together. Love my regulars that come in all the time. There's Anita, there's Misbehaving, Stephen the Jupiterian, One Wise Lady, One Rare Bird, you know who you are, Kelly K, Mercury with a Message, and all of you, thank you for being a part of my crew, the Feral Writer, All You Need Is Love Now, and more. These are people from everywhere in the world, South Africa, Europe, England, Scotland. I have a crew in Scotland, North America, South America. I love community. I'm an Aquarius rising. I love doing chat in the live premiere. I'll probably start doing YouTube lives this year, but I haven't figured out the format yet. All right, continuing to talk about the sky, Libra, sun, moon, and rising. So I have to just say right away, sun god Apollo is traveling through the house of you. And if your Libra, sun, moon, and rising is anywhere near 24 degrees of Libra, my daughter is at 18, and I've seen her act like a leader, right? With her Libra moon to stand up for herself around earnings and work story, for example. So this is a story for you that you're finding your Libra people, especially rising, are feeling their inner leadership energies being really highlighted and amplified right now. And yay for you. But it's all about Venus and Saturn, and this leader part of you, sun god at 24 degrees of your sign on January the 23rd, is in a trine to Venus and Saturn in your fifth house. Now, the fifth house is love and romance and sexuality. It's your children. It's your independent business that you are in charge of. You're the company owner or the president or the entrepreneur. And it's your creative projects, and it's your joy and finding the vitality and joy in life. Some Libras have found that life has been a drag for almost 3 years, but that's Saturn here making you work hard to have fun. And the fun will start again when he leaves on March the 7th. Now, I just want to say this is a fertility house, and Venus is sperm and ovum. And some of you Libras may be looking at some fertility stories going on. If you wanted to get pregnant, this could be a pregnancy signal here. I hope my daughter's not pregnant. Anyway, but if she is, that's her stuff. Anyway, hang on, I gotta stretch. I gotta move. I gotta get my legs all stretched out here. Okay, I'm not doing yoga on the sofa here. I just want to stretch. Gotta get my legs. Oh yeah, where is this little guy? When I moved in, I found this stuffy here. And it's just a furnished rental, and it's so cute, and I just love it. I want to ask the owner why it's here, but I think she has a grandchild that was visiting at one point, and she's in Sweden. Anyway, nice lady. Moving onward. Sorry, me and my stuffy. All right, let's get going and keep talking about you. So Libras, that you could have a baby announcement coming through this, or if you've been wanting to get pregnant or your partner, this could open up the gateway for that. Saturn, Venus would be also about, karmic pregnancies, whatever that might mean to you. Like there's a karmic soul coming through the story, because Venus owns the house of the dead, the 8th house, and this is literally like an ancestral dead person wanting to incarnate through you. Keep that in mind. Like your great aunt Susie's always been smacking to get back into the life game, maybe incarnates through you, or a parent or a grandparent. And anything else. Okay, so Venus and Saturn here are going to say, for last time in 30 years, is your independent business, creativity, relationship to your children enduring, lasting, and loving? And will it stand the test of time? And if so, then that's great. And otherwise, Saturn and Venus are trying to fix the problem. You could fall in love with someone older than you here if you're single, and significantly, like at least 7 years older. And you're also looking at romantic love through the lens of serious sober-mindedness, that the romantic in love vibe is a biochemical hormone cocktail that lasts a maximum of 18 months. Studies will show that, and that you have to find your love story going deeper than the original sexual and romantic stuff. Now, the romance and falling in love, Cupido, is in your 3rd house, and this is a house of trips and travel, and there's a forge smith. Would it be important for some Libra risings to forge a trip getaway with the one they love to find the spark of romance, for example? Or it could be nothing to do with love, and you want to learn something skills-based that helps you create your own business. Yeah, exactly. And you're going to be passionate about it. Or you could be wanting to write something. This is a very I want to write something, and I'm going to create a lasting piece of something important that I've written because of this transit. And you're going to have the passion and the energy to forge a passion writing project that could have enduring legacy value, Venus, Saturn, and be one of those books that goes into multiple reprints. And with the leader energy and the prophecy god, you'll have the clarity and leadership energy and the vision to know exactly what it is, Libra, you should be working on here. Finally, I think that if you could find an enduring, pleasurable pastime or hobby, 5th house things, it could help revitalize your body with that Cupido in the 3rd and Apollo in the 1st. I mean, revitalize your sense of well-being generally, including your well-being in your health. Alrighty, moving forward. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. I am not getting comfy again. Let me move around to a new position. I know I'm going to get complaints about this. Everybody is like my director. You know what I mean? Like, you guys watch my channel and most of you are gracious, but other people tell me not to talk so fast not to eat a tangerine, not to sip my tea. This is my house. This is my channel. If you don't like it, go away. Just go away. I mean, if you give me constructive, I got a great guy. He's always giving me advice about my camera and my mic. And I've taken some of his advice. And in fact, my advice to myself is get a lapel mic. But I have to say that constructive criticism I enjoy. But when you just like gnarly try to stage direct me, why? Like, why? Like, does it really matter if I have a tea in my hand or I ate a tangerine when I had COVID and I didn't munch it into the mic? Some people are so weird. Anyway, I just like, yeah, and I am snarky sometimes. I've got 4 planets in Aries. I got like foot and mouth disease. And so you got to get over that. If you don't like that, you don't like me. That's okay. Go watch Pam Gregory. She never eats tangerines and she doesn't get snarky. All right. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. In your chart, Venus and Saturn are finishing their last pass in 30 years in your 4th house of property, home, and real estate, land, ancestors, and the house of the mother. Now you're trying to forge a lasting relationship with your mom. My son's a Scorpio rising. We're having dinner together, thank God, in February because the guy's been so distant lately. I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, did I do a bad job? I said to him, like, you called me on Mother's Day, but let's get together. Yeah, he's 33, but you know, with his girlfriend, lives with his girlfriend, but not close to me. That's part of the challenge. And so maybe Scorpios are like, yeah, you know, my mom's a good person. I'm going to forge a more lasting, deep relationship with her. But also you could be looking at land and property issues here. And with Saturn in your 4th house for so long now, since like March of 2020, you may have felt like your home life is a burden. Your private life feels hard. You feel burdened in the home, but burdened around property, trying to sell a property, can't sell it, wanting to buy one, don't have enough money or something, even leasing a property, feeling like a burden. It's true for my Scorpio sun because he's got this property he and his girlfriend want to sell and have been able to get it off the ground. So anyway, I just would say that this is going to turn around. This is the last time that Venus will meet with Saturn. She just tried to bonify things to make them good. And Saturn is in his dignity here, so it can't all be so bad, right? So maybe some good news could come through this transit or some positive developments around land, property, home, and real estate, purchasing, buying, and selling. As an example, you know, Venus does rule your 12th house, and you may get money from an overseas account or a foreign land because Apollo is here, the sun god, shining brightly and boldly here in the 12th house. Sometimes this looks like revenue from foreign shores, foreign lands, or possibly from a patriarch or patriarchal figure as he squares the 9th Apollo. Passion, ardor, and falling in love with something is happening for you in the house of your work and work monies, like the way you make the money, the earnings from your work. Possibly you're going to have to forge something with Forge Smith Passion combo financially around possessions and earnings. Now, you know, you possess a car and a sofa and a house, and maybe you're going to depossess or passionately repossess one of these items or sell one of them in order to shore up your finances. Possibly you're going to find yourself more passionately engaged in an earnings and revenue strategy in your life. Scorpio rising, sun and moon secondarily. And that can help you buy or sell or lease or move or change your home in a very positive, lasting, enduring way. Finally, you know, Saturn in your 4th house is a legacy wealth transit that often opens up the door to inheritances. Now, your inheritance house itself is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Capricorn, going direct on the 18th of January, and then will eventually in February move into the legacy wealth house, meaning that between now and March 7th, for some of Scorpios, there's family inheritance money that could be signaled by this Venus-Saturn energy in the 4th house. If your Scorpio rising is near 24 degrees, sun and moon secondarily, give or take 3 on either side, certainly this could be an inheritance transit for you. Just saying. Passion and Eros energy in your 2nd house of earnings, etc., is ruled by none other than Jupiter, now moving through your 6th house of work and work routines. So this is also, again, for many of you, an up level in your finances, that this sky with Venus, Saturn, Eros, Forge Smith, Hephaestos, and Sun God are all trying to up level you financially. Could be a promotion, could be a raise. That's definitely what some of you Scorpios will be looking at for sure. Let's keep going. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising sign, Venus and Saturn are combining for the last time in 30 years in your third house. They've been here again in January and February, both in the past of 2021 and 22, and now this is the last act. If you're Sag rising near 24 degrees, Sun and Moon secondarily, of course, you're flowing energetically in this relationship called a sextile to Venus and Saturn. You may be trying to find love in an educational setting, or love can appear in an educational setting, or love can be forged from and on a trip. Okay, a journey or a trip can bring love to you. And if you are a writer, this is about writing something that goes a distance and can really last and have great lasting value for the world, legacy products in writing and communication. If you have siblings and relationships with them have been strained, Venus is trying to bring more conviviality and enjoyment to your sibling relationships, extended family like aunts and cousins and uncles too. And this is a last chance to solidly forge some kind of connection to a sibling in any sibling strained relationships. The compassionate Cupido is in the house of you with the forge smith of the gods. You're currently in this time frame trying to forge some passion in your life and feel inspired and sparked and find your joy and find your vital force and get turned on by yourself and by life again. Like Eros is like the life force energy, and you're trying to spark it all up in your body, in your sense of self. And once you get it, you're going to forge something with that life force energy. But maybe towards trips and travel and journeys. I have a Sag friend who wants to do the El Camino again, and that would be a perfect example of how he fires up his spark. His name is Giorgio, by doing El Camino on the regular, doing that long pilgrimage walk. And certainly the third house would be like very connected to that because it activates the house of pilgrimages, the ninth house of cross away. Now you can find sun god energy right now in this mini grand trine connected to your 11th house. This is like sun god energy in the house of movements and large groups of social networks that you belong to. This could be someone else. This could be a leader figure in a group that you belong to, looking kindly upon you and giving you favors or acting like an ally and bestowing a blessing upon you in the near term, let's say between now and March the 7th. They could lend itself to the opportunity to travel, the opportunity to do a writing project, to heal something with a sibling. Yeah, and the 11th house can often be your own dreams and goals for your life, your wishes, your future orientation. Um, it's possible that with the sun god here, you're dreaming bigger, you're thinking brighter, you're envisioning something much better than what you had in place before, but you may be connecting it to finding the spark of passion, right? So if you've had dreams and wishes that are too practical, now you're going to up level. And Venus sitting with Saturn, well, in your sky, Venus owns that 11th house, where the sun god is. And so how are you, really leaning into this energy of a Venusian fueled new vision and goal and dream for your life, Sagittarius? And Venus gives you lasting ways to improve your health and to avoid sickness because she owns that part of your chart. And this is your last chance saloon. You learn skills-based things in the third house, and some of you may be learning something you can use that you will use for years and years later, both to improve your health, but up-level your dreams as well. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign, Venus meeting with Saturn for the last time in 30 years, as she has already done in both, January, February of 2021 and 22. She's now doing this again with Saturn in your second house of earnings and possessions. Now, Saturn has made you conservatively spend money or save money, cautiously invest money, etc., ever since he got here in March of 2020. And he will be gone on March 7th of 23. It may have made you very masterful and serious and sober-minded about money, and especially about spending, more conservative around finances. And also, you may have found with Saturn here that you have leaned out your body because you've chosen different foods and you've been very cautious with what kinds of foods or overindulgences you've had, and you've pared those back as well. Now, Venus here is similarly saying you can have pleasure, but make it realistic. You can have money, but be realistic. It's tempered by Saturn. Saturn and Venus could have you sell a possession that you really enjoy, but it's time to be realistic and let that sports car go, ex-husband Capricorn rising, or something like that. If you're looking at this from a money perspective, she's a money goddess in a money house, and Saturn is about tempering things. So tempering your earnings, getting a new job, but restrictive around salary, not as much as you'd like, but you want to take it because you need the money, or it's a good idea to be realistic here. But you got the sun god Apollo in the 10th house, which definitely can look like some leaderful figure looking favorably upon you financially. So you could be employed, hired afresh, get a new job, or be the leader yourself in some masterful way in your career and reputation house, and end up getting your finances secured in a very enduring, lasting, and stable way because of this raise, promotion, or leaderful energy, whether you're recognized by a leader in the work career field or you are that leader. Passion, Eros, is in your 12th house of foreign lands and far off shores, revenue from foreign lands and shores. That could be something that's going on for some of you, looking at passionate connections to a foreign land. My Capricorn X is moving to Portugal, and it's going to help him with his finances because he can afford to retire, as he says, in Portugal, and he cannot afford to retire in Canada, or at least not in Vancouver. Guys, the rents are crazy here. Like, we have Vancouver, Canada is more expensive to live in than New York City and Hong Kong. All right, so yeah, I know most people can't afford it. All right, and it's really hard. So yeah, almost done. I'm just adjusting my sofa. Okay, so there's just all of what I said. 12th house stuff, you got passion and you got forge smith, tempering that or forging your passions that are self-undoing addictions, substances, into something more enduring and realistic. It's okay to have one glass of wine with dinner, not three, that kind of thing. Yes, you can hit the vape now and then or smoke a cigar, but like not down the daily. So some of you Caps are looking at like honoring your passion for something that may not be good for you and forging a new relationship with it that's enduring, so that you can still have it in your life but not fall underneath the bus, of throwing yourself under the bus of an addiction, basically. So tempering those addictions as well, because Venus just wants to bring you joy. She owns your joy house, your joie de vivre, spark for life. And so she's tempering the food you eat, the things you put in your mouth, and how hard you work, and your savings, etc., with Saturn, in order to find some joy again in life. All right. All work and no play does not really suit Venus, okay? And some of you are just coming off of a all work and no play 3-year Saturn transit. Alrighty, now Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. I am one of you. I'm Aquarius rising, Saturn on my ascendant in Aquarius. On the prenatal side, which is as a whole, I have to do a little mini class for you guys on how to read the prenatal side of your ascendant. We're using whole sign houses. The ascendant floats in the first house, which gives you a prenatal side. Guys, get off your Placidus chart. Start using whole sign houses. Trust me, it'll change your life. So it'll change your appreciation of your own natal sky. It'll finally make sense to you. So basically, I'm an Aquarius rising like you guys, and we're going to have this joining of Saturn and Venus in the house of us. Now, we are Saturnian beings. We are born to Lord Saturn as our helmsman of our chart, the most important planet for us. And he's now coming together with Venus again, as he did in 21 and 22 in the early, winter, January, February. And this hasn't happened since 1992. Sure, you can go back to 1992. What was going on in your life then? I didn't say that, but all signs could have done that. But now here they are again. And you're looking at, especially if your rising sign is near 24 degrees and mine's at 16, especially if your sun or moon are near there as well, you're going to feel it strongly. You need to be realistic about you. You need to be refined and sober-minded about you. You need to be looking at your beauty and the way you look through the lens of Saturn, which is the wise man, the wise woman, the crone, and the elder. You need to look at your preferences for your career, your home, and your significant relationships through the lens of practicality and realism. That's what's happening here. But you can do this because you're already a Saturnian being. Saturn may have challenged you over the last 2.5 years with your health. He's leaving 3 years. He's leaving on March the 7th. Venus is saying you can have, good health. but you must also find a way to enjoy the things that bring it to you, whether it's changing your food or changing your exercise patterns. Certainly when Saturn moves into the house of things you eat and put in your mouth in March, add 3 years, basically February 26th, a lot of you will lean out and choose new food styles. I'm already shocking myself. I've been vegetarian or pescatarian since January started. I normally eat meat, and all of a sudden I lost my taste for it. So maybe when Saturn, the austere sage-like Saturn, moves into my second house, I'll realize I'm now a pescatarian. I'm eating fish, but not any other meat right now. And I'm just following my own inner vibe of what I want. When I ate meat, I ate free range, happy, well cared for, treated well animals, right? I'm still eating eggs, so I guess I'm a lacto-ovo pescatarian right now. But when I cooked up some lamb recently and tried to eat it, I just didn't like. I wanted to spit it out. So something's changing for me already before Saturn even enters into that second house. You can find it with this combination of Venus and Saturn together here for the last time in 30 years, that as this is coming to an end by March 7th, that you found that your values around love and money have changed. And I'm finding that's happening to me already. Okay, a mature, different way of seeing love, of way of seeing my values around prosperity and wealth. Because you have the Eros energy in the 11th house, you want to have passionate friendships and social groups to which you belong. You want to find the passion tribes that you're a part of and will be a part of your life. You're also orienting strongly toward real estate and property and home, as Venus, Saturn say, find a lasting, stable, enduring nest, because they're squaring the 4th house of home. Same with love stories. You don't want to just be in a fling. There's no fling and vibe here. This is like love has to be lasting, serious, reliable, and practical and friendly love. The forging something from the 11th house is forging your long range dreams and goals that are both passionate and realistic and lasting and long. And you can forge them because of all of that. And as well, when it comes to groups of friendships, you may find love from friendships, because Eros, especially for single Aquarius, in the house of friends and allies, and also people who introduce you to people, but also people who are your friends. This is definitely like the friend zone person becomes your person. So if you are a single person, look for that theme to maybe emerge over the next 2.5 months. With the sun god in your 9th house of God, Apollo in the 9th house of God, and he's a sun god. This is a very auspicious placement. This is where the sun has its joy. I would say that Apollo does as well. Apollo up here in the house of God, truth, courts, foreign shores and foreign lands, things to do with book publishing, is very intense. Like, I want to write my Deep Code Astrology book, and that's something I've got on the radar now to do. And I'd say that this is giving me the strength over the next 2.5 months as an Aquarius rising to have the passion and enthusiasm to do that. Eros sextiling the sun god in the house of book publishing. Now, foreign lands and travel. You could be looking at taking a passionate trip with friends to a foreign land that you're planning to take, connected to this time frame. Okay. So this is January, the 22nd, where this is happening, or the two connect, Saturn and Venus, and you may begin to plan that trip or even take that trip between then and March the 7th. And if you do travel to a foreign land, it can be very passionate, very exciting, and very stabilizing for love stories in your life. And some of you may even travel for learning or on a pilgrimage. Both learning travel and pilgrimage travel can be 9th house. And sun god, you may be drawn to a sun god. You're traveling to go see a leader of some kind, or a leader teacher of some kind during this transit, during this, like, let's say till March the 7th. And Venus exalts your 2nd house of money, where Saturn is going next, and then she'll follow in there as well. So bottom line is, there's exaltation around finances and earnings, but your values around money as well are being changed, but maybe exalted. And that means maybe higher standards around your worth and all of that. Me, as an example, I have to raise my rates. I'm booked out for 3 months in advance. It's too far for me. So either I change how many clients I see per month, or I kill the flow of clients by changing the price and making myself more precious and less affordable. So things like that I'm having to deal with right now as well. And I'm relating because I'm Aquarius rising. And I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to finish up with Pisces. But let me finish with you guys. Venus owns your 9th house of foreign lands and shores. And so for a lot of you, things to do with foreign lands and shores, courts and book publishing, or third marriages, using one of the two Vedic astrology techniques, are going to be highlighted in a positive, flowing, auspicious, and lucky way between now and March the 7th. And first, but always first, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. So I hear a lot of astrologers saying last but not least, and I get cringy for them because I got so slammed by several Pisces on this one. So I'm always saying first, but always first. In your sky, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is subtle. This is Venus, Saturn in the house of your unconscious, your karma, your past life, your dreams at night, your self-undoing, self-sabotage, hidden enemies. This is your 12th house. Foreign lands, revenue from foreign and far off shores as well. So if you get PayPal and Stripe like me and you do revenue from around the world, Venus Saturn says, how do you set up a structure that's reliable, that goes a distance, that you can count on, that benefits you financially in this way, PayPal, Stripe, etc. If you are somebody who is wanting to find love in your life and you're single, this is love in a foreign land or from a foreign shore, or someone from a different land and culture and religion or background than you, but also maybe traveling to a country and meeting someone there. And if you are a Pisces rising who is looking to heal your spiritual stuff, release your karmic muck, clean it up. Saturn has been trying to clean up your karmic muck and your unconscious self-sabotaging patterns and habits and addictions for 3 years. He finishes on March the 7th. And then Venus is saying, as she did in February and January of 21 and 22, can you see the value in this work? Do you understand that I can bring you joy when you clean up your karma, your self-undoing, your addictions, and your self-sabotage? Are you getting rid of those people in your life who don't hold you up and who sabotage you covertly or overtly, that are somewhat hidden enemies? If you can see them, I'm here to show you, you don't need those people in your life. Let's end those relationships that aren't really that Venus friendly, but maybe Saturn karmic and may have an endpoint coming. This can definitely lend itself to people leaving your life, or you leaving their life because it's no longer needed and it was never very good anyway. The passion in your house of career, Eros, with the forge smith of the gods, sextiling Venus, Saturn, is like, are you in alignment with your passion? And if so, let's forge a very powerfully lucrative, internationally successful career path. Or let's do backroom deals and negotiations about your passionate career and forge a deal that works in your behalf in the work and career space. And then lastly, you know, the sun god is here in your 8th house of joint resources with your spouse or business partner, mortgages, bank loans, investments. Now, the sun god is powerfully placed in that sign that belongs to Venus, but she's with Saturn, limitation and constriction, and she's trying to be realistic. Whereas the sun god could basically be over the top. So now you're coming to realistic, yet clear and flowing new connections to the money that you have or that you share as a resource with your partner, or that you can get leveraging through mortgages and investments. Okay. This could look like some positive news regarding money that you share with a spouse, with a business partner, or in investment structures, or being able to secure a loan or a mortgage in some way, if that's something you want to do. And, you know, I would say that you have to forge things too with passion. There's like, yeah, but like any old money? No. Are you passionate about the reason you want the money, the mortgage, the bank loan, the investment income, the, you know, whatever, the thing that you're getting the money from? But having a sun god ruled by Venus with Saturn in the 12th, trining each other, this definitely looks like some money. Now, it could be inheritance money, legacy wealth in this placement. It wouldn't be a surprise, though. It'd be money you're expecting to get, finally coming through and landing on your doorstep. And Venus rules the house of siblings, and some of you could benefit from money coming through the sibling structure of your life, or extended family like aunts, uncles, cousins, and nieces and nephews. Alrighty, so that's always possible in this chart as well. Once Saturn moves into the house of you on March the 7th, and Venus is there before him on that count, you're going to feel like you are getting a new lease on life, with Venus up-leveling you, exalting you, new haircut, new wardrobe. That's happening first. I think Venus crosses over on maybe February 4th. I can't remember. I'm on the chart. Let me tell you when she crosses over. Because when she comes into the house of you once a year, she exalts you, right? So it's early in February, right? I think. Hang on. We will find it and we will tell you. That's the plan. Yeah, she crosses over into the house of you to exalt you after powwowing with Saturn around January 27th. Oh my God, I got to get a video up for that. And then Saturn follows suit around March the 7th. And long story short, earlier, January 27th, at about a month, you're going to up level your makeup, cosmetic, hair, wardrobe. You're going to feel better about you. You're going to feel great. And then Saturn comes along, and don't feel like it's going to be a downer. Neptune's in your first house since 2011. Saturn enters in March and starts helping you make your dreams come real through hard work and discipline, which sometimes fishy Pisces doesn't have. The art of the procrastination might be your specialty. Go look at my Saturn and Pisces video in my 2023 big playlist on my channel. You of all people need to know about that 3-year transit that starts this March. All right. Thank you for listening. If you're still in the live premiere with me and you have yet to hit my like button, please do so. If you subscribe or hit the bell for notifications, that's even better. Come join my Patreon community as well. Think you'll really like it. And also my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, where you get a 20% discount code off any reading from me, automatically generated as soon as you sign up. And we have a monthly contest. I'm changing the format about the contest, where people win free readings, half price things with me, and a bunch of other stuff. So you want to be in touch with me off this platform and get lots of connections weekly from me, where I tell you about the sky ahead in a written format, then you might want to join my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. If you made it this far into the recording, thank you for hanging out with me. I am now going to make some food and go shopping. Ciao, guys. Big hugs.